What is up, everybody? Pokemon Champions is the most controversial game right now. There are so many ways that this game might fail, and that is what we are talking about today.
Bros and badges, gotta collect them all.
Welcome on back to Bros and Badges. I am Zach, I am joined by Joe, and today, yes, we are talking about the ways that Pokemon Champions might just fail. Joe, we've already had some controversy even on this channel surrounding the game. We've had a lot of people talking about things they don't like. We made a video talking about how, some of this anger is overblown, it's not as bad as everyone's saying, and we got just absolutely ratioed. Whatever, that's fine, that's cool. We're sticking by our points. But since then, even, there actually have been some new developments too. Like one person mentioned in the comments that there was a big Pokemon Home situation where Pokemon being transferred to home. People were saying they were getting deleted. That's not actually true. Like, they're not really getting deleted, but they are frozen. So a lot of Pokemon are like frozen in Pokemon Home. They can't be transferred back to other games. You can't use them in Champions. They're really like frozen in Champions. They're said to be visiting in the game, but they're not usable. So that in and of itself is like a huge controversy. What are some of the other controversies that people have been talking about with this game? And also, what are some of the ways we think this game is going to fail because of those controversies?
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect way to bring us into the first point of really both of those is a big controversy that I think even we didn't really think people were going to rally behind as much as sits v sits battling. Obviously, since the dawn of Pokemon, people have been able to have their team of sits battle against their friends and their team of sits, but Pokemon Champions did not launch on release with that feature. Obviously, we know because it is trying to focus on VGC formats that it wasn't going to have that, but I think the common Pokemon fan just kind of wants to be able to battle with a full team, which is, again, understandable. So that was kind of a concern that we didn't really discuss much, but a lot of people seem to be up in arms about it. And I think that that's honestly a big way that Pokemon maybe won't fail when it comes to Champions, but I think this could be a major misstep if it's not a feature that is added in one of these later seasons. I think Pokemon is just something that when it comes to battles, as many options as you could have as possible is probably best. Obviously, you are going to split up the player base because if people aren't playing singles 3v3 or doubles, 4v4, now we're adding full sits v sits teams. So, the player base gets kind of muddied, but I think people just want the option to be able to play with a full team. So, yeah, I personally, again, I don't think fail exactly, but I think it does speak to a bigger issue and the main reason I could see Pokemon Champions failing, and that is just if they do not consistently update when it comes to modes or bringing Pokemon in fast enough. I think really when it comes to these live service games, they need to be on the ball. We know this next season is going to come around May 10th. I could be wrong, so future us just put whatever the date is. But whatever date that is, if it does not give us a substantial amount of Pokemon, a substantial amount of Pokemon items for battle, I think this could really, set a negative mark going forward for the game. But, that's kind of my look at it. That's the thing I think that they need to really nail. Zach, what would you say are just like maybe some things that off the bat would lead to the doom of Pokemon Champions if they don't kind of act fast enough?
Yeah, I would say it's one of those the sum of the parts situation. I think it's not really necessarily one thing, but it's all of the things it has negatively going for it right now. There's so many of them, at least with people online. Maybe they're not things that upset me, but they are things that upset the community. And like, sorry, if you don't appease the community to some extent, like this game is going to fail. Like that's just how a lot of these games works. So like you said, if they don't have consistent releases, like consistent updates, like that's going to make the game fail. Honestly, I think if they don't add 6v6 at some point, it might even be dead on arrival just because so many people seem to want that in the game. Whether or not that's the VGC standard doesn't really matter because this game is marketed towards casual players and casual players want to see it, even if it's just an option. If it's not there in the game, I think at some point there's a lot of people that just aren't going to play this game. I think if they bring it, that will attract a lot more people. Also, you mentioned items. Items is abysmal right now in the game. It's truly like abysmal, at least for the hardcore like VGC fans. On the other side of it, it's like there's so many things that are not in this game that like should be in the game just from that standpoint. I was actually, dude, I was going through the other day and like I thought it was better than it was, but seriously, I was like, I was trying to find items for my team, and I'm like, there is like hardly anything to choose between. So I feel like if they don't add like a giant roster of items pretty soon, this game might also be dead on arrival, at least for like the hardcore players. And then let's be real, like the graphics situation, the fact that like if undocked from the Switch, like it plays at like half resolution, and then you redock it, it's back to full. Like that's just a bizarre thing. I think they gotta cover all these glitches. There's a lot of glitches going on in the game, like the home situation. If they don't get those glitches figured out, then yeah, this game's going to fail. Because as we know, like Pokemon is known for glitches and just not having the most high performing games in terms of resolution and, you know, all these things. And yeah, I feel like if they don't make adjustments on that scene too, like it's not going to last. I don't know about fail, but it's definitely not going to last because this is a game that the way they've structured it, this game is the competitive scene moving forward. So this game also has to graphically be good enough to withstand the next generation of Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? And so if it doesn't hold up and if they don't make some adjustments, honestly, like the designs and stuff too, like we've talked about it before, like some of the character designs and the models are just kind of like ugly to look at. So it's like, I feel like they need to do a little bit of an overhaul of this game in some way, shape or form. And maybe we'll see that when mobile releases, maybe they are making some adjustments behind the scenes. I don't know. I wonder if they thought this was like a soft launch or something, because, you know, we do know that I think in August, like for mobile players, the game's coming out. And hopefully by that point, like a lot of these glitches and issues are dealt with. But realistically, again, it's just like people are angry about the game. You know, I'm not that mad about it. I'm having a bunch of fun. I stand by that. But at the same time, there are a bunch of people very angry about how this game is launched and just the state that it's in. So I feel like if they don't make some drastic changes to fix that, yeah, they're not going to see a ton of adopters. And if this game doesn't consistently get more and more adopters, then it's dead on arrival, because that is how a live service game works. You know, luckily, because it's a live service, that also means the point is they are going to keep updating it. They are going to keep adding Pokemon. They are going to keep hopefully fixing glitches, all this stuff. And they have said that they are working on the glitches. So like that's positive. And if they don't update the roster of Pokemon, there's a lot of Pokemon people want to see. Like, I mean, like why is Amoonguss not in the game? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of ridiculous. Like that is like a staple of the VGC scene, and he's not in it.
You know, I think you've made a good point, and something that you said really kind of struck me, and that's that this game was kind of put out so that casuals could have this entry level to VGC, and we've discussed that in previous videos as well. But I think what ended up happening is they cast such a wide net that they ended up kind of isolating the furthest parts of both of those sides, right? So casuals who are interested in VGC, like us, we are okay with where the game's at right now, because we understand that this is a way to kind of dip our toes into competitive Pokemon, right? But casual players who just want a good Pokemon battle simulator, who want that sits v sits just as an option, like they're isolated because maybe they don't want to play Pokemon competitively. Maybe they just want a free Pokemon battle sim that they can play with their friends on their Switch, right? And then the other side of it is people who have been playing VGC for years, have builds that they've been working on for years, and Pokemon and items, you know, to attach to those Pokemon that are now kind of like, well, feeling nerfed, you know, feeling in a sense, being like, I'm not playing at full capacity because I have to work with what the game currently has. And again, I think for people like us who are in that sweet spot, I think that's why it's kind of hard, because we're defending a game that just clearly isn't where both of those sides want it to be just yet, right? I think if they add sits v sits, that's good. If they add more battle items, that's good. But as it stands right now, we're kind of in this gray area, and Game Freak has had a habit of maybe not doing what the fans want. And so I think that's why a lot of the negative comments come, is people are looking at this as another Scarlet and Violet situation where they're just kind of thinking Game Freak put the game out, it's out, and now they're just going to collect money from it and maybe not give it much attention. But as you said, the real magic here is that it is a live service game. And we see this with like Pokemon mobile games. Their mobile games, for better or worse, are constantly updated. You look at Pokemon, a game like Pokemon Unite, look at its launch roster compared to where it is now. And I think if you're someone who's not in that space, you will be vastly surprised with how much support and love and updates that gets, and just how much they cater to the competitive side of it. So I think that ultimately, if they don't want Pokemon Champions to fail, they just need to really lock in and give people on all sides what they want, because in general, it's not very hard, right? Have a casual battle sim, let people be able to play with their friends in whatever format they want. And man, let us have like a life orb. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why there's just so many items that they just thought were like not worth having. Regardless, I think that at the end of the day, Pokemon Champions is a game that's going to live and die by the community. And right now, it's not looking super hot. We have people who love the game. We have people who are maybe a little bit more weary of it. And again, that's just coming off of Pokemon's previous, follow-throughs with their games. So Pokemon Champions, honestly, is in a very interesting state right now. Zach and I obviously hope that the game does well, but you guys got to kind of let us know. What do you think is something that is just necessary to be added? Are there any things that we didn't point out that you think would make the game better? Really, I think that's why we wanted to do this video, is just have a conversation so that if by any stretch of the imagination, we're able to rally enough support for certain features and Game Freak does listen, I think that the game could grow to be its best possible self. But that's where I stand, at least. I think the game is good. I think it needs to be great. And hopefully, if it adds just a few tweaks, definitely changing up how some of the trainers look, especially that receptionist, just move her eyes apart. Really, just move them apart, like just a smidge. But I actually scratch everything I said. That's the only thing I want to see fixed.
But guys, that is going to do it for today's Bros and Badges mini podcast. We are very excited to see you tomorrow on the next video. And yeah, let us know in the comments if there are things you would like to see, or if you think that this game is dead on arrival. How is it going to fail? Is it already failing? Give us your hottest takes. We will see you in the next video.